Karina, baby, I love you so incredibly much. You know that? Today is July the 1st. And let's see what story it is today. It is. See, look at that. That's pigs, right? So the pig family goes camping. You've been camping a number of times. You've had a lot of fun camping. Mr. and Mrs. Pig and the piglets are having a camping vacation. They have found a nice spot by the river to put up their tent. Potty and the pigs are excited. Potter and the piglets are excited. They have never been camping before. Pass me the hammer, please, Potter, says Mr. Pig. I'll have this tent up in no time. Mr. Pig hits the tent pegs hard. Bang! Ouch! Ooh, ooh, ouch! Wails Mr. Pig. He has hit his hoof instead. There, there, says Mrs. Pig, bandaging his sore foot. At last the tent is ready. It is only just big enough for Mr. and Mrs. Pig and the piglets to fit inside. Move over, Potter, says the two piglets. Potter rolls to one side, and the tent falls down. Oh no, says Mrs. Pig. Later that evening, when Mr. Pig had put the tent up again, the pigs wiggled into the sleeping bags and go to sleep. They are all snoring soundly when it starts to rain. Drip, drip, drip. Big drops of water splash onto Mr. Pig's nose. I've just remembered something, says Mr. Pig. What? Says Mrs. Pig, waking up. I forgot to fix the hole in the tent, he says. Good thing I brought my umbrella, says Mrs. Pig. And she opens her umbrella to keep them all dry. The next day the sun is shining. While Mr. Pig mends the hole, Mrs. Pig and the piglets cook breakfast over the campfire. Then they all go for a walk by the river. Potter and the piglets look for tadpoles and dangle the hooves in the water. I like camping, says Potter. It's fun. Mr. and Mrs. Pig smile. Yes, they said, it is. Alright. So they all went camping. We all had so much fun. Camping is a lot of fun. Alright. Let's see what's next. The story of Peter Pan, the boy who never wanted to grow up. Peter's shadow. Sitting on the rug, he soaped his feet, and then he soaped his shadow. But his feet and his shadow would not stick together. It is no use to use a shadow if it will not stick to you. After trying and trying in vain, the poor little shadow had put his face in his hands and sobbed aloud. It was then that Wendy awoke, and she sat up in bed. Not at all afraid, she said, Little boy, why are you crying? The boy sprung to his feet, and taking off his cap, bowed very low. Wendy bowed in return, though she found it a hard thing to do in bed. What's your name? Asked the little boy. Wendy, darling. What's yours? Peter Pan. Where do I live? Second turning to the right, and then on till morning. Second turning to the right, and then kept on till morning. This seemed to Wendy a very funny way of going home, But she was so sorry when she heard that Peter Pan had no mother. But Peter was not crying for that. Peter was crying because he could not get his shadow to stick on. This made Wendy smile, and she said firmly that soap was not good. The shadow must be sewn on. Shall I do it for you? She asked and jumped out of bed and got her workbox. Then she set to work. And though it hurts a good deal to have a shadow sewn onto your foot, bore Peter, it is bravely. It was the right thing to do, for the shadow had held on so well. Peter was pleased, and he danced up and down in the room with delight. He saw his shadow dance on the floor at the fling of his arms and his legs about. "Oh, how clever I am!" cried Peter, full of joy. "Oh, how crowned! For all the world, just as a cock would crow." "You are vain," said Wendy in a vexed voice. "Of course I did nothing." "Oh, you did a little. A little. I am no use. I can at least withdraw," she said, and she jumped back into bed and put her head under the bedclothes. "Oh, Wendy, please don't withdraw," Peter cried sadly. "I can't help crowing when I'm pleased with myself. One girl is of more use than 20 boys." This was rather clever of Peter, and at those words Wendy got up again. She even said she would give Peter a kiss if he liked, but Peter did not know what she meant. Then seeing the thimble on Wendy's finger, he thought she meant give him that, and he held out his hand for it. Now Wendy saw at once that the poor boy did not even know what a kiss was. Being a nice little girl, she did not hurt his feelings by laughing at him, but just put the thimble on his finger. Peter liked the thimble very much. "Shall I give you a kiss?" he asked, and pulled a button off of his coat. "Give it to her with a grave face." Wendy at once put it on a chain which she wore round her neck, and then she forgot that he did not know what a kiss was, and again asked him for one, and again he gave back the thimble. "Oh, I don't mean a kiss, I meant a thimble," said Wendy. "What's that?" he asked. "It's like this," replied Wendy, and gently kissed his cheek. "Oh," cried Peter, "how nice!" And he began to give her thimbles in return, and even after he called a kiss a thimble, and a thimble a kiss. Well, alright, so that's the story of Peter Pan. Alright, baby. Let's move on to Aesop's Fables. Mama loves Aesop Fables. I didn't know that he was a slave all those years ago. I didn't know that at all. I didn't know who Aesop was, actually. Okay, this one is The Wolf and the Doghouse. A wolf who lived in the forest fell on hard times, and could hardly catch enough food to keep him from starving. Soon his ribs were showing through his coat, and she could hardly sleep at night from hunger. One day the wolf happened to meet a sleek, plump dog from the village. Puzzled, the wolf looked him over and exclaimed, "How is it that you appear to be well fed, when game has been so scarce?" "I never have to hunt for game," boasted the dog. "My master feeds me meat." from his own plate, and the servants give me scraps from the kitchen every day. All I have to do is bark at every stranger that comes near and keep watch over the house by night." The wolf could hardly believe his ears. "If I had a family to take me in," she asked, "will they treat me in the same way?" "No doubt of it," the wolf replied. "Just come along with me, and I'll find you a place." Eagerly the wolf trotted beside the dog, but as they left the shadow of the trees, the wolf saw something near the dog's neck flash in a bright sunlight. "Pardon me, but what's that around your neck?" she asked. "Oh, nothing," said the dog. "It's just the ring on my collar where they fastened me to the chain." "Chain?" cried the wolf in horror, stopped in her tracks. "Of course," said the dog. "They chain us up at night so we don't run away." The dog looked over his shoulder. "Why did you stop, Wolf? Aren't you coming?" "Certainly not," said the wolf. "You may go back to your master, if you will, but I'd rather starve to death in the woods than eat one meal with a chain around my neck." Lean freedom is better than fat slavery. Lean freedom is better than fat slavery. So that wolf wants to be free, right? She doesn't want to go back with the dog anymore because she sees that he has a collar and it has a brooch on it that the master pins a leash to guide his dog, right? And has him chained up all night. So she'd much rather be lean and free than be fat and be a slave. The Fox and the Grapes. Walking along a dry and dusty road, a fox glanced up and saw a bunch of ripe purple grapes growing over his head. They were plump and looked ready to burst with juice, and a breeze brought their sweet scent to the fox's keen nose, and wanted to taste those plump grapes more than anything. The fox jumped as high as he could, but the grapes hung just above his reach. He took a running start and jumped even higher, but still he fell short. Again and again he tried, but in vain. "Those grapes don't look very ripe," he said to himself finally. "They're just small and green. Not worth bothering about. Why should I waste my time on a bunch of sour grapes?" And with his head high, the fox walked off down the road. It is easy to scorn what you cannot reach, right? Not everyone's going to understand everyone's plot in life, but this fox wants these grapes. He wants these grapes. He wants to jump up. He wants to catch the grapes. He wants to feel the juice and the crunch of that grape between his teeth, right? He wants to eat those grapes. But he can't reach them. That's the problem. So he's like, those grapes are gross. I don't want them. The grapes, they're not gross. He just doesn't have persistence to get them. Right? He didn't think of a new angle. He didn't climb up the tree. He didn't run against the tree and knock some of the grapes down. He just kept jumping and falling and jumping and falling. If he thought about a new angle, how is he going to get those grapes? He could have run against the tree, banged into the tree, and had some of the grapes fall down so he could feel that crunch with that juice. He's hungry and he's thirsty, that poor fox. He just gave up and he walked away. The Goose and the Golden Eggs. Once there was a poor farmer who welcomed any creature that strayed onto his land. One day, a strange new goose appeared among his birds, and when him and his wife came to feed her the next morning, they were amazed to find a gleaming golden egg in her nest of straw. Every morning after that it was the same. The goose laid another egg of solid gold. Soon the farmer and the wife were richer than they had ever dreamed of being, but still they wanted more. One egg a day wasn't nearly enough. The farmer complained. "If we cut that goose open, we'll get all the eggs at once," his wife declared. Oh no. But when they had killed the goose, they found not one egg inside her. "What have we done?" the farmer's wife moaned. "Once we dressed in silk and velvets, and ate fine food of silver plates. But now we're just poor farmers again. Those who want everything may end up with nothing. So that goose was such a good goose to them. Look at that goose. Beautiful goose. See it? There's the farmer and his wife. They thought that for some reason that goose was going to be able to have all the eggs inside of her. A goose is not a person. A goose lays one egg a day. They're not born with all their eggs inside. They make them every single day. So they destroyed their poor goose. All right, the shepherd and the wild goats. A shepherd was out with his goats on a mountainside when a fierce storm blew in. He drove the animals into the nearby cave for shelter and found that the flock of wild goats had taken refuge there as well. If I feed these wild goats, thought the shepherd, then perhaps they'll stay with me. In no time at all the flock would double in size. Soon the shepherd gave the wild goats the best of his grain and hay, and made sure that they had fresh water to drink. But since he had only a little food with him, he gave his own goats no more than a few handfuls of grain. When the storm finally passed, the wild goats bounded out of the cave without a backwards glance. "Wait!" cried the shepherd angrily. "Is this the thanks I get for taking care of you?" One of the goats looked back. "We saw how you treated your own flock," she answered. Why should we think you treat us any differently if we stayed with you? Don't neglect old friends for new friends. How true is that? You are going to meet people along your life, Karina, and everyone is going to impact you, right? You're going to learn something from someone. You're going to every single thing that you do is a character building experience, right? And you have to be true to yourself in every single situation. Mama is very much so your behavior and your actions and your reactions to things. Like, you have to have good behavior, good actions, good reactions to things. It doesn't really matter the situation. Like, you have to be content in your situations at all times, right? That's what Mama personally believes. Like, no matter what, you're going to find something to be content with, whether that's because you are going to value your shower every day, you're going to value the food you eat every day, you're going to value the clothes you wear every single day, you're going to value yourself and your body and respect it, right? There's contentment in every single situation that you could possibly be in, right? And when you have somebody that you've known since you were little, and you want to know them until you're older, you want to value them as people. You want to value the friendship, right? So you want to grow with them. So you don't want to neglect anybody or anything. So this shepherd only gave his own flock a few handfuls and tried to feed the wild flock in order to have them come with him. But he neglected his own flock, the ones who love him and trust him and rely on him because they're not wild. You can't do that. You can't neglect anybody. So Mama was with you. I was with you every second of every day. I love you. I love you, and I miss you so much. Alright, the next one is the bundle of sticks. An old farmer had 3 sons who quarreled among themselves. From dawn till dusk, one day the farmer fell gravely ill, wishing to make peace among the sons before he died. He called them to his bedside and asked them to bring a thick bundle of sticks. "Can you break those in 2?" asked the farmer, handing the sticks to the oldest son. "Of course," the young man answered scornfully. But even though he tried until he was red in the face, he could not break the bundle of sticks. "Why, these sticks are no thicker than your finger," mocked the second son. "I could break these sticks like straw," boasted the third. And they both tried with all their might, but neither could break the bundle of sticks in 2. Then the father drew 3 sticks from the bundle and handed one to each of the sons. "Can you break them now?" he asked, and they did so easily. "Let these sticks teach you," said the father to his sons, "how strong you are when you are allied together, and how easily you can be broken on your own. The united we the unity in unity there is strength. My father tried to teach this to my twin brother and me. He used to always tell us, stick together and treat each other well. Right? He used to always tell us, he really liked that band that came out when we were kids. It was ooh up, da 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 doo up, ooh. It was this band with brothers who sang together. I forget their names. Oh my gosh, I know it, but I forget. But anyway, like, and he wanted us to be like them and just love on each other and just treat each other well. And that didn't happen, you know. But I mean, things happen. But he wanted us to value each other, and I loved that I was a twin because my twin brother was cleaning. We always had chores. It didn't matter where we were, what day it was. We always like had open time. That's why Mama always says, like, I don't have free time. I have open time to figure out something else to do, because you don't put off today anything that, like, you know, don't put off what you can get done today until tomorrow. You get it done today. So our father always taught us that because he was always running out of time because he was sick. And so we had open time on the days that we had off from school. And the one day we were down at one of the houses that my father owned, and we were cleaning, and I was dusting, and my twin brother was sweeping. And Jimmy turns around and goes, Mindy has the easier job. And my father goes, no, she doesn't. And he goes, how about you two switch? So we switched. And we realized it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life, everyone is working really hard. My brother was working really hard at sweeping, I was working really hard at dusting. And when we switched, he realized that. And he turned around to my father and goes, she didn't have the easier job. And he goes, no, she didn't. I love that I'm a twin because I had a lot of really valuable learning lessons. I wanted a bunch of twins. I wanted you to be a twin. But I'm really glad I got a singleton because I got to focus so much on you. And I got to teach you so much in such a short amount of time. And I need to teach you so much for the rest of your life, right? You actually taught me a lot of things. You did. You teach me a lot of things every single day because you're young and you're beautiful and you're fabulous and you're just exploring and bringing the world in. You taught Mama how to play again. You know, you taught Mama so much. I love you and I miss you. Alright, so here's the next one. King Log and King Stork. A band of frogs lived a carefree life, splashing about in their small pond. They had warm rocks to bask on and plenty of tasty flies to eat. But when some of the older frogs got together, they began to grumble. There's no discipline or order, they complained. All the frogs do just as they please. So the frog asked the sun to send them a king to rule over them. The sun became irritated that the foolish frogs don't see how lucky they were. Here is your king, he declared, and threw a heavy log down into their pond. It fell with a mighty splash. The frightened frogs divided between the water and hid behind the rocks. Truly this is a great king, they whispered among themselves. One brave frog dared to approach the floating log. Welcome to our pond, O great King Log, he said, but the log made no reply. One by one, the others, curious frogs, crept out to see the King Log. No matter what they said or did to it, the log made no response. Before long, the young frogs were divided of King Log into the water. Were diving off King Log into the water. This king is worth nothing, one of them objected. He never even speaks. And they all asked the sun to send them another king, one who would govern them sternly and well. When he saw the frogs again refusing to become content, the sun grew angry. Very well, you shall have what you asked for, he said, and he sent down a new king, a hungry stork. King Stork pounced on the frogs and began gobbling them up, 2 or 3 at a time. The frogs fled for their lives, begging the sun to take this terrible king away from them. You asked for a king, and now you have one, answered the sun. And for many years the frogs lived in misery under King Stork rules. Don't change better for worse. So these people, right, this is an analogy for people, and in the Bible they wanted to have a ruler over them. They didn't have an actual ruler, and then they wanted a ruler so that they'd have more laws and things like that. Sometimes people don't value their freedoms that they actually do have, even though they don't see them. And they want... These frogs just wanted rules. So they got divided in two. And then they wanted an even harsher ruler. They got Stork. The donkey and the load of salt. A wealthy merchant bought many baskets of salt and tied them on his donkey to carry them to market. On the way, as they crossed a shallow river, the donkey slipped beneath his heavy load and fell into the water. By the time he scrambled to his feet again, half the salt in the baskets had been washed away. The merchant cursed at the loss, but the donkey was pleased to discover that the baskets were half full, or half as heavy as before, as he cheerfully carried his lightened load to market. At the market, the merchant sold what was left of his salt, and brought several bags of sponges. Tying them to the donkey's back, he set out again for home. When they came to the river, the donkey thought of what happened on his way to the market. He pretended to slip and rolled into the water, hoping his load would be lighter. But the sponges were not washed away. Instead, they soaked up the water until it swelled fat and heavy. The merchant drove the donkey to his feet again, and the beast struggled home under the load twice as heavy as before. The method should suit the circumstance. So the donkey didn't know that the sponges were going to be absorbent, alright? And they were going to get big and they're going to get heavy because he saw the salt just wash away. So he was like, oh, I got a lighter load on my back. I'm good, right? So he had some light sponges on his back and he made them so heavy, right? It didn't match the circumstance. It didn't match the situation that was going on. Alright, baby. Mama loves you. How about we do some songs? How about we sit and watch the rain as it falls from the sky, and we are glad to be inside where it is warm and dry. Oh yes, I do love the rain. It keeps the earth so clean and helps the pretty flowers grow from the mountains to the streams. Bully down and Shimbo now, so help me Bob, and bully in the alleyway. Hey, bully in the alley, so help me Bob, and bully in the alley, bully down in Shinbo now. There once was a girl that I loved dearly, way, hey, bully in the alley. Once was a girl that I spliced nearly, bully down in Shinbo now. So help me Bob, and bully in the alley, way, hey, bully in the alley, so help me Bob, and bully in the alley, bully down in Shinbo now. I left my girl to go a-sailing, way, hey, bully in the alley. Left my girl to go a-whaling, bully down in Shinbo now. So help me Bob, and bully in the alley, way, hey, bully in the alley, so help me Bob, and bully in the alley, bully down in Shinbo now. If I ever get back, I'll marry little Sally, way, hey, bully in the alley. Have 6 kids and live in Shinbone Alley, bully down in Shinbone now. So help me Bob, and bully in the alley, way, hey, bully in the alley, so help me Bob, bully in the alley, bully down in Shinbone now. how about swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Well, sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down, coming forth to carry me home. But still I feel my soul is heavenly bound, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Now if you get there before I do, coming forth to carry me home. To all my friends I'll be coming there too, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. I'll be coming home, coming home, coming home to you, coming forth to carry me home. You know my word is good, you know my word is true, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. You know, baby, in the Torah, we gave up our lives as Jews for food. We really did. Joseph was put into the forest, the desert, by his brothers and got captured and went to live with all of the Egyptians, right? And then he got accused of a crime that he didn't do, but she stole his coat and she declared that he was trying to hurt her. And he spent some time in jail. And then he decided to help everybody out while he was there, right? And he interpreted some dreams. And when people got out, one person got hung and the other person went back to the Pharaoh. And so then the Pharaoh had a dream. And the Pharaoh was like, I don't understand what this means. And then the person who was stuck in jail with Joseph goes, oh, I had someone else interpret my dream. Maybe he could interpret your dream too. And so all of a sudden Joseph was remembered, and he spent all his time in prison, and then he got out, and he interpreted the Pharaoh's dream. And the Pharaoh put him in charge because he said there's going to be 7 years of famine and 7 years of plenty. And the plenty was coming first, and the famine was coming second. And so when the famine broke out, his brothers came down to visit him. And he was like, I want to see my little brother. Where's Benjamin? And Benjamin is his only real brother because that's Rachel's sons, were Benjamin and Joseph. And they were highly favored. And they shouldn't have been highly favored like that. You don't do that. You don't divide love. You share love. It doesn't matter if someone is or isn't your favorite. You share love and you find something good about them because everybody has something good about them. I don't care who it is. Show compassion and show love to everybody, baby. So anyway, so they come down. They bring Benjamin with them. They eat at Joseph's house, and Joseph put a cup into Benjamin's belongings. And then he came out and declared that he was missing this cup and that someone stole it, so they had them search the bags and say, Benjamin, you stole the cup. And then he was like, don't you remember who I am? Because then he was like, oh no, okay, you didn't steal the cup. I put it in there because you don't remember who I am. And then he's like, don't you remember who I am? And they're like, no, they didn't remember their own brother. And their own brother didn't know how to speak their language anymore. And so he has an interpreter, and he's trying to have the interpreter explain to the brothers who he is. And so then he goes back and grabs the father, and they all come down, right? All the Israelites come down, and they give up their lives, they give up their freedom, in order to have food so they don't starve to death. Not everybody has an option, baby. We put ourselves as slaves a number of times, and people got put as slaves a number of times over food, over wealth, over ideas that they wanted to protect, right? It happens repeatedly in history. And I am a Jew, and you are a Jew too. Alright, or behold a toe for the links of every generation. My grandmother's last name is Januszewski, which is a Jewish last name. And so that makes all of us Jewish, right? It's a beautiful thing to be. We are united, right? We are very much so united. Alright. Let's do, and the whole point of that story is the reason why Mama loves Swing Low, Sweet Chariot and sang it to you so much when you were a baby, and will sing it to you for the rest of your life. You'll know that song when you get older, is because we don't always have options, and we are still slaves. We are still in bondage. No one has real freedoms. If we had real freedom, then we had freedom to do what we want to do with our own bodies. As long as we don't hurt ourselves, don't hurt others, and try not to let other people hurt us, we'd have more freedom. We should have more freedom than what we do. We live on this tiny little speck of a planet, and we're even tinier little specks of people, right? Floating around in this huge universe that we don't even understand what's beyond the vast. We don't understand what's beyond it. We don't understand who else is on it. We don't understand anything. We have these tiny little brains, and we're trying to expand them and learn everything that we possibly can, right? That's why I was so big into potential with you. But we are tiny little specks of dust on this tiny little speck of a planet that's floating around in the universe, right? There's so much more that we don't understand yet, but we want to. And everybody has this opportunity to just learn something new every single second of every single day. And you can never be bored, though, because your brain, with how teeny tiny of little ants that we are, is expansive, right? It's like the universe. Keeps learning and growing. The neurons and dendrites keep connecting, and you can remember 7 things at once very well. So it's a good thing. Alright, let's sing Lila Tove, baby. Lila Tove, and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. I love you and I miss you. I never wanted to be away from you, not even for a second. Not until you were much older, where you could tell me absolutely everything and anything. You were already so good at telling me everything and anything. I made sure your verbal skills were very, very good. That's why I held you the first 6 months of your life. You were amazing. You know, you are amazing. You know that. You are just so amazing and beautiful, and I just love you. You're just perfect, Karina. You really are. There's no such thing as perfect. You are perfect, baby, and I love you. I miss you, and I love you. And just like Papa always used to say, Mama's his sun, Papa's my moon, and you are most definitely our rainbow baby, and we love you, Karina. Your mama and your papa both love you. I love you so much, and I'm sorry I didn't have better options. I'm sorry I didn't. Trust me, baby. Mama loves you. I gave up everything for you because I love you. I will always love you. And when you become a mama one day, if you ever want to, you'll understand that mamas will give up everything if they think they could save their baby. Okay? I love you. I love you, my angel. I love you.